Today we're going to go to a small town called Retz. Ava and Gunther had told us about it. And we're going to pick up Mino and her friend Willie, and we hope we have a good day.
Retz is located in the North Wine Quarter in Lower Austria, a 1 hour and 20-minute car ride from Vienna. The first noteworthy sight on our way to Retz was a sculpture called The Spinner on the Cross, located in the 10th district of Vienna. The north and east border of the Lower Austrian province borders the Czech Republic and Slovakia. Their economy is still in shambles as a result of poor government planning. Tourism in the west of Austria brought prosperity, but not to the east. The eastern provinces, Lower Austria and Burgenland, depend on agriculture, which is not as profitable as tourism.
Das nächste Jahr, ja. Wenn du in Amerika etwas von Österreich siehst, dann ist meistens Wien, Salzburg, ja, und die Berge. Aber diesen Teil sieht man nicht. Ja, das ist ja wir leben ja, das sind ja unsere Föhn.
Willie is pointing out to Wilhelm that most of the time only the western alpine regions of Austria are shown on American TV.
Also das wird so gezüchtet, dass so groß ist. Ja. Aber Viehfutterwarte ist nicht. Aber der Durchschnitt ist viel größer wie die.
Wilhelm explained that the flatland in the east of the country, with its agriculture, is still very important to the country. Fancy hotels do not exist in the villages we travel through on our way to Retz.
Richtig, wo wir sind, da muss das Auto haben. Ohne Auto geht überhaupt nichts. Ja. Also brauchst du ein Auto, ne?
The small houses to the right lead to the underground cellars where wine gets stored. The area we're driving through is called the Wine Quarter of Lower Austria. We reached the Retz outskirts after a 1 hour and 20-minute car ride. Retz has a population of 4,186 and covers an area of about 17 square miles. We parked our car in the main square, which is the largest market square in Austria, and continued our excursion on foot. From 1568 to 1569, the former church on the main square was transformed into the city's town hall. The main square is lined with imposing buildings from all time periods. What is more, you will sense the atmosphere of an Italian town as you look at the Vertebra house, which was built in the finest Venetian Renaissance style, or at the Scrovito decorated house opposite or at the town hall, placed directly in the center of this immense square. In 1680, the bubonic plague came to town. The plague column on the main square still recalls this dramatic event. The two fountains are filled with white and red wine at the annual wine festival on the last weekend of September. I did the still photography, and Willie's sister Mino and her boyfriend Wilhelm did the explaining about Austria. We had a cool temperature, perfect for a walking excursion. The Dominican church in view is an important landmark. In Retz, Count of Ravenswald founded the Dominican monastery. Its first church was opened in 1295.
Rein, nicht rechts in die Stadt rein, sondern links runter. Siehst du, hast Burg Hardegg, siehst du das da jetzt?
Our next stop was the Fortress Hardegg, 4/10 of a mile from Retz, where we also visited the Kaiser Maximilian of Mexico Museum. Fortress Hardegg is on top of a mountain like all other castles, which were built during the same time period for defensive purposes. Austrian entrepreneurs make sure that a restaurant is close by for tired tourists to re-energize with Wiener Schnitzel and wine. We didn't mind a little climb up the mountain after a rest and refreshment in the restaurant. Halfway up to the castle, we were treated to a view of the small town of Hardegg and the Thaya River, which divides Austria and the Czech Republic. The big gate to the castle reminded us about the comedy from Mel Brooks, Young Frankenstein, and my fresh husband was wondering if this castle had big knockers.
Okay, danke.
The uphill walk did not seem to come to an end.
Ja. Die Frau hat mit einem tschechischen Akzent gesprochen. Oh, das ist Mühe.
People try to work in the country where they can earn the most money, and if possible live across a border where it is less expensive. This is now taking place all over the world in border towns. Our tour was self-guided. I don't remember if we had to pay any kind of fee. The purpose of these fortresses was to protect the serfs who live and worked around the fortresses. The fortresses had everything to survive a long-time siege from an enemy, like a nuclear bunker in our time period. Another rickety flight of stairs brought us to a partial overview of the Fortress Hardegg. This beautiful window must have been part of the church in the Fortress Hardegg. Archduke Maximilian, brother of Emperor Franz Joseph, accepted a French invitation to become Emperor of Mexico. Maximilian and wife Charlotte embarked for Mexico on the Navarra at Marimar Trieste. A Mexican delegation is appointing Ferdinand Maximilian of Austria as Emperor of Mexico, 1864. The French neglected to ask the Mexicans what they thought about this matter, and in the end, Maximilian and the two generals were shot by a firing squad. A death mask of Archduke Maximilian and some other artifacts of the liberal-thinking Archduke were displayed.
Kannst du dir vorstellen, das quer da herumschleppen, ha? War der beliebt bei den Österreichern, der Kaiser?
Der war sehr beliebt. Mit 22 Illustrationen. Franz Werfenau, der hat das geschrieben.
To our relief, it was only going downhill after the museum.
Das muss nicht der ganze sein. Da bist du nicht reingekommen in den Flur.
Ja.
Und schau mal, wie scharf da die Ecken sind. Hat da die Witterung was weggekriegt?
Actually, they say years ago, all this was covered with water, and you know, the mountains were covered with water, and on the tops of every mountains you find sea animals.
Aha. Wieso in Aufbade?
Das schau her, das war noch eine zweite, was?
Ja.
Schau.
To our relief, it was only going downhill after the museum. Our last stop was the bridge crossing of the Thaya River, which divides the Czech Republic from Austria. Reopening of the border bridge, Hardegg, April 1990. Today we visited the town of Retz, the Fortress Hardegg, and Archduke Maximilian Museum, which is not as popular as many other places in Austria, where tourists of other countries come and visit. A special thanks to our traveling companions, Minel and Wilhelm, and to our video watching audience. We hope you enjoyed our travels. Pat and Willie Eberl.